irrelevant in light of the facts. Okay? Believe if you want, accept it, that's your life. Okay? In Islam, the orthodox Islamic legislature is that a Muslim man is allowed to marry a Muslim woman, and or he's allowed to marry a woman who's either Jewish or Christian, with the condition is that she's a chaste woman and she is not a whore or a prostitute or a fornicatress. If she did illicit or illegal intercourse, she's made repentance and she's clean and she's chaste. Those are the only women that a Muslim man is allowed to marry, excluding a woman who is an agnostic or atheist or Buddhist or whatever faith or spiritual practice that you follow. As far as a Muslim woman, then it's a bit different. She's only allowed to marry a man who is a Muslim. She's not allowed to marry a Jewish man, nor is she allowed to marry a Christian man. Everyone understand this? Your opinion, my opinion, is that fair? We're not here to discuss any of those things right now. As far as can you marry someone who believes in monotheism in general, then absolutely no. Man and woman, no one can marry someone who just believes in God or a higher power or the great spirit in the sky. There has to be one of those three religions. So therefore, you're not allowed to marry someone who's an agnostic or atheist or anything like this. They have to be a Muslim if it's a woman marrying a man. And if it's a man marrying a woman, then it has to be a Jew or Christian. Those are one of the conditions. Another very important condition in 2019, and once again, this is not my opinion or my view, nor does it matter what is your opinion or your view. But the rules is that there must be total agreement and understanding that the children to come from this marriage will be raised as Muslims. And it is not equal or quote-unquote fair. If I marry a woman who's a Jewish woman or a Christian woman, the children are not allowed to go to the church or the synagogue. They're not allowed to celebrate Rosh Hashanah or any holiday. They're not allowed to have any religious rituals, rites, other than that about Islam. How is that fair? They can only go to the mosque, but they can't go to the church. How is that fair? They learn your way. That is the deal. That is the offering. Would you like to marry me? Your name is Sarah. She says, I'm looking for a husband that will treat me kindly, that will provide for me, that will take care of me, that will show me love. And I want to have children from this husband. It doesn't matter, Muslim or not. We don't have to have no theological debates or disputes. I believe in one God. I follow the religion of my forefathers, which is Christianity. I'm a chaste woman. I wear a dress when I go outside, not skin tight pants, so on and so forth. And we have children, and they'll be Muslim. I'm fine. I perfectly agree to that. If that is the condition, then it's permissible. As far as most relationships and marriages today, in which I have just as much say-so, the Christian doctrine will be just as important as the Muslim doctrine, then it is illegal. It is illegal. And the reason behind this is these rulings were sent down, and they were mandated for a specific atmosphere in which Islam is understood and practiced in this light. And majority versus minority, authority, power, etc. was in a certain way. Not how we live today, in which anything goes, freedom of speech, democracy, freedom of religion. Everyone understand this? So this is the orthodox ruling about Islam with regards to that question in brief. Next question.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Follow.
So, who exactly counts as Ahlul Kitab? Do all Christians and Jews count? Because their denominations can vary wildly.
Who counts as Ahlul Kitab? The different denominations, Jews and Christians. That's a very long discussion and debate. A very long discussion and debate. Some people say that today there is no true Kitabi. Today, some people say they hold this view. Is that there is no Jew or Christian that falls under the orthodox definition of Ahlul Kitab and actual monotheism. And others, they say, no, that's not true. There are some denominations. They could be Unitarians, for example. Or some people may say Amish or Mormon or other denominations. And other types of Presbyterians, Baptists, Episcopal, etc. Whatever it may be, Orthodox, whatever type of Jewish faith that a person is following, whatever it is. They may say some of them are monotheists and other of them are not considered to be what? Monotheists in the light of Islam. In the light of Islam. They say that there's one God, but they actually call upon other gods. So that's a very, very, very long discussion. At the end of the day, my personal advice for any Muslim is not to marry a Jewish person, a Christian person, not even a normal Muslim person. Marry someone who's righteous and pious. A good, strong Muslim. Someone that if you're doing good, they'll make you do better. Someone that if you're not doing so good, they'll make you do at least good. Someone that will push you and enhance your spiritual journey. That's my advice. That's my advice. It's to select from among a selection. And Allah knows best.
Okay, next question. I'm just going to let you guys know I'm getting a lot of questions, so I'm just going to go in order. If we don't get to yours, I'm sorry. The next question is, what are the explicit limits of interaction with the opposite gender? And if you meet with someone for marriage and they don't agree with these limitations, what should you do?
What are the rulings with regards to integration or mixes between sexes with regards to getting married, so on and so forth? And what do you do when someone doesn't abide by those rulings? Well, obviously we're in college, we're in an MSA, so we're already in a quote-unquote free mixed environment. Your teacher is a man, a woman, professor. This sexual orientation, we're in the situation in which we're in. And I would say, and I'm not talking about here, I haven't no experiences here, but many people, no doubt, they live in a delusional state. They live in a delusional state. And they propose ideas and ideals and values and rulings, and the environment in which they work or go to school or teach is totally against those ideas and ideals. So you must practice reality. And every single thing about Islam is reality. Everything in Islam is real. Islam is a real religion. In theory and in practice. So therefore, oftentimes, it may be a rule which you may be violating because of your job or because of your education or your career. At the end of the day, the things which are prohibited specifically and explicitly, number one, is seclusion. Al-khalwa. It's for a man to be alone with a woman whom he is not related to. It's not his sister, his aunt, his stepdaughter. It's not his grandmother. It's not someone that he is a mahram for or vice versa. Al-khalwa. As far as if it's a third person, that's a different story. Point number two, physical contact is prohibited. You're not allowed to shake the hand or to hug or to kiss or to pat or rub or bump anyone of the opposite sex. And the only time which you're allowed to shake someone's hand is that you are a mahram for that person or that person is your wife or your husband. Everyone understand this? Number three, staring, looking, gawking with lustful intention. And when you're looking at the opposite sex, not because you have to make eye contact, you're doing a transaction, it's a teacher, they're asking a question, but you're actually staring and lusting at that person. You're looking at them and you're fantasizing and daydreaming and unclothing that person with your eyes as you sit in front of them. You have to be realistic. You have to be what? You got to keep it real. And say what many people are afraid and scared to say, but it is a reality in the world in which we live. That is prohibited in college and outside of college. Everyone understand this? After that, I would say, is unnecessary socialization. Unnecessary socialization. Speaking to someone for a business, transaction, school, work. Hello, how are you? You hold the door from someone. Please tell me where Hill Hall is, or this room. We were walking, right, Khalid? We had to ask someone, she wasn't a Muslim, where the room was. We didn't stay there and talk with her and flirt and laugh. We asked her a simple question. She looked at us, we looked at her, we had to ask her the question. But you're just sitting around socializing and flirting and laughing and joking. That's dangerous, and that is prohibited. Even if the conversation itself is not haram, but it would lead to that which is clearly haram. Are we understanding this? So these are the main points which are specifically impermissible in Islam with regards to the opposite sex or even the same sex. Even the same sex, certain things which are inappropriate for men to do in front of each other. Certain things which are inappropriate for women to do in front of each other. It's inappropriate Islamically. Are we understanding this? As far as how to get to know someone for marriage, there are many ways. First and foremost is you talk to girls, you talk to boys because you go to college. As I said, your professor is a woman, your professor is a man. So the fake piety is not going to work. That's first and foremost. You go, you get on a train, you get on a bus. Just keep it real. So if there's someone that you want to get married to, you're interested in them, you think that they're pretty, you think that he's handsome, you think that they're cute, or whatever the case may be, you ask a question. Assalamu alaikum. Are you interested in getting married? Ask a question. Ask a basic question. How you make that approach? How good or bad? That's up to you. Everyone understand this? So the point is that basic interaction, bil ma'ruf, is one thing. Is what? Is one thing. What's important is that you have to go with an agenda. You talk to the sister with a what? An agenda. I'm actually thinking about getting married and not just wasting time and unnecessarily socializing. Everyone understand this? And it depends on what type of lifestyle you have. Some people are very shy. You may send someone else. You may write a letter. Some people aren't shy. They're very confident. Some people may be very, very, very traditional. And it's disrespect to go to someone's daughter. It may be disrespect to go to the father. You have to send an uncle or someone else. It depends on the situation. Everyone understand this? And Allah knows best.
The next question is, so that how can I find myself before marriage without taking too much time? In other words, how do I know I'm ready? Also, how do I get over the fear of the idea of marriage itself?
How do you know when you're ready? The idea, the fear of marriage, you'll never know when you're ready. And you'll never ever be absolutely over the fear. There's always a fear. And there's always something that you won't have and that you're lacking. And this is one of the biggest obstacles and roadblocks that they use. You'll never ever have enough money. There's always a debt. There's always something that you need to buy or you want to buy. There's always more. There's always something that you don't know about a person. You can't get married the Islamic way because you don't know the person. You have to date first. You have to go out with the person first. You have to sleep with them first. You can't agree to marry someone and you don't even know if you like that person sexually. That's not the Islamic mindset. And one of the most important reasons why this isn't the Islamic mindset is because in Islam, divorce is not the same as it is in Christianity or other faiths, in which it is death do us part. That is not a part of the Islamic marital contract. You do not say that until death do us part. We'll try to live together. I'll try to be a good husband. You'll try to be a good wife. And if it isn't meant for us to be together, so be it. Then you have a good life. I'm sorry it didn't work out. I apologize for my shortcomings. I'll help you find a husband. And you pray for me, vice versa. That's Islam. There's no thing in which divorce is a cardinal sin, like other faiths. Everyone understand this? So the Muslim must have her own identity. Everyone understand this? So marriage, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how long you know a person, is always a roll of the dice. Always. Always. You may marry someone, you don't know them that well. You may not love them. Through time, you begin to love them. And you know who they are. You find out what type of person they are. You may marry someone and you think that you know them. You've spent years dating. And the night of the marriage, your honeymoon, you see something come up on his phone. Or you find something under the seat of the car. Or someone is knocking on the door. And this person has a whole entire different lifestyle than what you thought. This is a reality among Muslims and non-Muslims. So you're always placing your trust in Allah, no matter what. So therefore, try your best. Do what you can. Write down the pros and the cons of this person. And at the end of the day, Bismillah. You got to say at the end of the day, Bismillah. Let's go. You got to roll the dice at the end of the day. You can't be a successful gambler unless you know how to what? You got to roll the dice. You may lose all your money. You may make a what? A fortune, a come up. This is life. So we have to be realistic, guys. You'll never ever be 100% what? Ready or sure. Certain things, yes, you can. No doubt. You can check certain things. No doubt. I notice about the person. I notice about the person's family. I met the mother. Certain things, without a question. But it's nothing like you living with that person. And I want to say something to you scary, but it is a reality. You can be with someone for 10 years, 5 years. You have children with them, and then discover something about them. Or a person may wake up and say, I don't love you no more. It's a reality. And if you think that this is a fairy tale, then go ask people. So there's nothing that's guaranteed, huh? And Allah knows best.
The next question is, how do we combat our parents' belief that we need to have our whole life together and a spouse that is making good money in order to get married?
How do we combat the belief of our parents that we have to marry someone who has their life together and a spouse who's stable, has money, etc.? You don't necessarily have to combat them. Because as we have just explained, a part of that argument is correct. A part of that argument is right. You should listen to your mother and father. Get married after you have the degree under your belt, hypothetically speaking. After you have some type of job, hypothetically speaking. Be a little patient, hypothetically speaking. Because even when you get married, you still need self-control. And you still need discipline. You can still have sexual desires after marriage. You can still not be focused after marriage. You can still be extremely immature after marriage. And many people are like that. And it's one of the most common complaints of women. I married him, and the only thing he wants to do is hang out with the brothers, with the fellas. He's laughing, he's joking, he doesn't know what to do, he doesn't care about learning. He's immature. Everyone understand this? So part of that argument is what? Is correct. But obviously, a part of that argument is totally incorrect, in which you have to have this grand palace, this grand stack of money to get married. Part of that is what? Is wrong. It depends on the person. At the end of the day, if you have the relationship to discuss this with your parent, that's one thing. If you can't talk to your parents, they're too stubborn or stuck in their ways or they don't respect you, then have an uncle talk to them who shares your view. Use leverage. Attack at the corners, as we say. Outflank your opponent. You don't have to necessarily say to them, let someone else say to them that they'll respect or they're afraid of. Or your father may owe your uncle a favor. He owes your uncle a favor, a big favor. I did this for you 20 years ago. I helped you invest in your business. Now look, you have 10 stores. And now the favor that you're going to give to me, brother, is you're going to let Abdurrahman get married. I don't want to hear anything repay my favor. So you have to be wise. You don't always have to be the one going head on with your parents. Everyone understand this? And Allah knows best.
The next question is, should you tell your spouse about past sins and vice versa?
Should you tell your spouse about past sins, vice versa? Some sins, no. No. Keep them secret. If Allah has kept them secret, don't disrespect Allah. And this is something which is very serious. When you expose your sins that the people do not know about, you've disrespected Allah. You've rejected Allah's favor by hiding those sins. As far as if it's a life-changing problem, a major part of your life, and it still affects your life today, that's a different story. And there are ways that you can move around that. There are ways in which you can move around that. Everyone understand this? Obviously, we have the argument of, do you have to tell someone that you don't have your virginity? Man or a woman? Even though the people are very hypocritical, a woman's virginity is sacred. A man's virginity isn't sacred. You can have a boyfriend, you can sleep around, but many people are hypocritical. And the opposite as well. A woman can do things, but the man can't do. Many people are hypocritical. But at the end of the day, do you have to tell the person that you're not a virgin? That you had a boyfriend, that you slept with the boyfriend or you slept with the girlfriend? Is that an obligation? I would say it depends. You revealing your past sins? No. It is a condition that I marry a woman who's a virgin and I need to know from the beginning. That's a different story. So ask the person the question. If he says, have you ever had sex before? Are you a virgin? Did you make zina before? You don't have to answer the question directly if you did. Why? Is that important to you? You only marry a woman? Yeah, I can't marry a woman who isn't a virgin. If I bring her home, my family will curse me if she's not a virgin. Okay, tell you. Keep the conversation going. You keep the sit down going. Next week, next talk, and then you tell the brother what? Shukran. Jazakallah khairan. I don't, inshallah, I made istikhara and I'm going to find someone else. And he doesn't have to know your personal business. Use hikmah. Use what? Hikmah. Everyone understand this? If someone asks you a specific question, then that's a different story. Did you ever use drugs? Do you have a drug problem? That's a different story. And Allah knows best.
The next question is, should a person wait for someone that is not ready for marriage? Not ready could mean regarding money.
It depends on the person. If you feel like it's the man of your dreams, wait for him. If you feel like this, she's a princess and she's worth it, wait for her. It depends. And why you need to get married. I can wait 6 months. I can wait a year. I can wait 3 months. Or I can't. What's the reason behind me getting married? Marriage with love or marriage without love? It all depends. At the end of the day, you have to know when to move and when not to move. That's the bottom line. Some people, their lives, no doubt, is worth waiting for. It's a very, very good brother. Very righteous brother, pious brother. But he needs to get some things in order first. I have some problems. I have some issues that I need to take care of. No problem. I'm here waiting for you. And there's some people which you say, fine, inshallah. You search somewhere else. And it may not be worth stunting your spiritual growth. Everyone understand this? So it depends on the person. Allah knows best.
And this is going to be the last question. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question. There's a lot and I don't have much time. Sorry. I know a Muslim girl that is marrying a non-Muslim man. How would you go about advising her? And I know a Muslim man who has a girlfriend. How would I go about advising him?
Questions regarding a Muslim woman who's marrying a non-Muslim man and a Muslim man who has a girlfriend. How would you go about advising them? Let's ask ourselves the question. Theory versus practice. Is there a seriously practicing sister in Islam with the proper understanding of Islam, going to marry a non-Muslim man? Is that even realistic? Does that even exist? Does that exist? Listen carefully to the conditions that I've laid down, though. For you to say, yes, I don't think you've listened to my stipulations. I said a seriously practicing sister with the proper understanding of Islam. I don't think that is going to exist. Either her practice of the religion is, or her understanding of the religion, even if it's just parts of it, is warped. Really, really, really warped. Whether it's progressive Islam, Islam 2.0, Islam 2019, tolerant Islam, whatever word they use. But I don't think it's, and I'm not talking about a woman who's Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah either. She doesn't have the most knowledgeable sister, the most pious sister, but a sister who's basically practicing the Orthodox Islam. In general. What? In general. And she's practicing, she prays 5 times a day. She fasts, she gives zakat, etc. in general. It's going to marry a non-Muslim man. I don't think that that exists in the real world. And I think any example of a Muslim woman who marries a non-Muslim man with the intention, there's going to be a major crack in one of those two things. Practice or understanding. I know that it's wrong, but I fell in love with them. It's too late. Or I don't believe that it's wrong, and there's nothing wrong with marrying a person who isn't of the Muslim faith. As far as a Muslim man who has a girlfriend, how do you advise him or her? Of course, it's going to depend on your relationship with that brother or that sister. Do you have a good relationship with him, a rapport? Can you talk to him straight up? Do you have to beat around the bush? Everyone understand this? Does he respect you as a person? Or is he going to say, get out of here, you had a girlfriend last week, you just started growing your beard? It depends on the relationship that you have with this person. But in general, adina nasiha, you tell him that's haram. You cannot have any intimate relations with this woman. She's not your wife. If you love her so much, she's so charming and beautiful and lovely, put a ring on her finger. Bismillah, do the right thing. And if you can't, or she's not ready or unwilling, then you must separate from that woman. And there's not going to be no good. And you having a relationship which is based off of that which angers Allah. There's no good in a relationship in which it angers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either you marry her or you step away from her. And if you can't marry her or you can't step away from her, at least know that what you're doing is wrong. Ask Allah to forgive you and ask Allah to give you the courage to one day walk away from that situation, and vice versa. A Muslim woman with a boyfriend, and it matters not whether they're Muslim or not. It matters not. It's haram, period. There's no boyfriend and girlfriend in Islam. And that's also another part of the major problem of marriage versus career versus education. You can't have a girlfriend, you can't do this, and you have to wait 10 years to get married, and you're 19 now. That, without a doubt, is very problematic. You go to college, you live in America in 2019, you cannot fulfill any of your sexual desires except for 10 years or 12 years later. That's may Allah help you guys living in that situation. That's very, very far from reality. It's very far from reality. May Allah help us. And with Allah is all success. Jazakumullahu khairan. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.